In the last video, I said that the next video was going to be about the Jewish Jesus, and I got a smart comment saying, is there a Jesus that is not Jewish? Jesus was Jewish, his disciples were Jewish, and at no point does it say in the New Testament that he starts a new religion. In this video, I will be talking about Jesus' Jewish roots, and actually it goes far beyond roots. Before we start, I will just say that my name is Oren and I'm an Israeli tour guide. I will also add that I'm not trying to convert you. I know that some Jews will find it suspicious that I'm talking about Jesus, and some Christians will find it strange that a Jew is talking about Jesus. So I just want to say that there is no secret agenda here. My only secret agenda is no secret. I want you to visit Israel and enjoy it. Many visitors and pilgrims come to Israel to see the places mentioned in the New Testament, Nazareth, the Sea of Galilee, and Jerusalem. Right now I'm at Emmaus Nicopolis, which is one of the towns associated with the Emmaus of the New Testament, and where Jesus met two of his disciples after the resurrection. What you can see here today is mostly the ruins of a Byzantine church from 1500 years ago and of a Crusaders church which is 900 years old. It makes quite an impression to see these places you've been hearing about your whole life. And for some, that's already enough, but there are many more layers of understanding that can be added. One of them, which I won't talk about today, is the range of different denominations and how each one connects to Jesus. I want to talk about the Jewish Jesus. And before we take a deep dive, I will start with an event that happened 60 years ago, the Nostra Aetate. In 1965, the Catholic Church declared that Jews were not to be blamed for the death of Jesus and established the common ground between the two religions. This was a step in the right direction. You can't understand the life of Jesus without understanding the time and surrounding in which Jesus was active, the Jewish society of 2,000 years ago. There are two important things to know here. The first is that Judaism today is very different to how it was 2,000 years ago. And the second is that there were many different kinds of Judaism. But let's start at the beginning. The first century was a troubled time. It was an apocalyptic era. Everyone was waiting for something big to happen. The end of days, the Messiah, war. And Jews were slowly losing their independence as the Roman occupation became more and more cruel. Jewish society found itself being divided into many groups. Some of these groups are mentioned in the New Testament. I will say the Hebrew names as well, so my Hebrew-speaking audience will understand what I'm talking about. The Pharisees, Purushim, are mentioned almost 100 times. The Sadducees, Tzdukim, are mentioned too. And then the Zealots, Katayachad or Iseim, are mentioned as well. Christians need to understand the Jewish Bible because the New Testament sits on the Hebrew Bible like this. Jesus was born in Bethlehem. King David was born in Bethlehem. Jesus was baptized by John at a location where the Israelites crossed the Jordan River when entering the Promised Land. Jesus was crucified on Pesach, Passover, when Jews were celebrating freedom with a sacrifice in the temple. The day the Jews got the Torah is the same day that the disciples started speaking in different tongues. This is Shavuot or Pentecost, and there are loads more examples. Jews also need to learn the New Testament in order to understand this time when Judaism changed the most. Here is a small example I can give you. Let's go over the Hebrew names of Jesus' family. Unlike the Jewish kings in Jerusalem, whose names were influenced by Roman names like Hyrcanus or Aristobulus, Jesus' family members have very Jewish names. Jesus is Yoshua, Mary is Miriam, Joseph is Yosef, and Jesus' brothers' names are Yaakov, Yossi, Judah, Shimon. Sounds very Jewish to me. So in order to understand the New Testament and the context of Jesus' teaching, you need to understand the Jewish Bible and the different Jewish groups that were active at that time. I will start with the Sadducees. They were the ones with the power, they were rich, they were the families of the high priest that served in the temple in Jerusalem. They believed only in the written Bible and not in the oral Bible, and they didn't believe in the afterlife. Another group was the Pharisees. They represented the common people. They saw the Sadducees as corrupt and as collaborators with the Romans. They believed in the oral Bible, the afterlife, and that you get what you deserve in the afterlife. In many ways, the Pharisees took the work of the priests in the temple and brought it down to the public, making the work of God accessible to all the Jews, not only those in Jerusalem and the temple. Another group was the Essenes. Now, I'm not getting into the discussion about the identification of this group or their name. We know that there was this group, a group of men who didn't allow women to join and who lived in communities and had no private property, like a kibbutz of monks. They were probably priests who rejected the corrupt priests in Jerusalem. They were an elitist group who saw themselves as son of lights, waiting for the war against the son of darkness. They had their own books and their own calendar. John the Baptist was probably influenced by them and maybe even was one of them for a while. And to all of that, you need to add the idea of tum'ah and tahara, which means impure and pure, a topic that became a huge part of Judaism at that time. Dead people or animals are impure. After you go to the bathroom, you are impure. When women have their period, they are impure. Some impurity can contain other things, and to become pure again, there are many different things that need to be done. The Essenes didn't go to the bathroom on Saturdays so that they would stay pure. When the Pharisees criticized Jesus' disciples for eating without purifying their hands beforehand, Jesus replies, and I'm reading from Mark chapter 7, "There is nothing that enters a man from outside which can defile him, but the things which come out of him, those are the things that defiles a man. Evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murder, theft, all these evil things come from within and defiles the man." In the same chapter, a non-Jewish woman asked Jesus to heal her daughter, but Jesus says to her, "Let the children be filled first, for it is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs." "Yes, Lord," she replies, "even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumb." Then Jesus told her, "Because of this answer, you may go. The demon has left your daughter." The children are the Jews. When Jesus criticized the Pharisees, it is important to understand that this is not a criticism of Judaism from someone on the outside, but it is a criticism from within. Jesus said, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law of the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them." Jesus offers another interpretation of the Jewish Bible. This is also the time that the Jewish Bible was sealed. The Bible is a library of books. Around the time of Jesus, the end of Second Temple, it was decided which books would be part of the Jewish Bible and which won't. There were many more books written by different Jewish groups or denominations that were left out. And the reason that the Jewish Bible was canonized at the time was to prevent books written by Jewish sects from becoming part of the holy books. I'm talking about all of this together, the Bible, Jesus, and the different groups within Judaism, because I want to make a point that I learned only recently and found very interesting. The Jewish point of view is this. This is Judaism and this is Christianity. Christianity came from Jewish world but has no connection to Judaism. The Christian way of thinking is this. There is Judaism and then Christianity continues and replaces Judaism. I want to suggest a new way of thinking that I learned recently from Iska Arani, the leading scholar of Christianity in Israel. She says that we need to look at this differently. There was no single Judaism 2,000 years ago. Instead, there were many different kinds. If this is like the Jewish Bible, many groups interpreted it differently. The Pharisees, the Essenes, the Tzedakah, the Sadducees, the followers of Jesus, the Zealots, and other groups, they were all Jews. Of all of these groups, only two survived the destruction of the temple, 2 rebellions, and 2,000 years of history. Rabbinical Judaism, which in many ways is a continuation of the Pharisees, Aprushim, and Christianity. Both are changing and evolving, but deeply connected to the 1st century CE in the land of Israel. So it is Iska Arani idea, but the hand gestures are mine, so give me some credit too. In this short video, I've really only scratched the surface. If you want to know more about this topic and understand this time period, come to Israel. Without knowing who your tour guide will be, I can promise you that she or he will talk about this topic everywhere, in Masada, in Nazareth, in Jaffa, in Caesarea, in Qasr el-Yahud, in Yardenit, and of course in Jerusalem. I hope that you find this video interesting. If you did, please give me a like. I have a feeling there will be some comments on this video. I've noticed some of you don't follow me on Instagram. Why not? I will leave a link to my account below. See you in the next video. Yalla bye.